Is Logan Paul attempting yet another scam? Quick disclaimer, all the footage used in this video is used under the Fair Use Act of 1976, and furthermore, all information gathered is purely conjecture, so form your own opinions. Logan Paul just cannot seem to keep himself out of the spotlight, and here we are yet again. Now, I'm not talking about CryptoZoo, where investors are still left in the dark. I'm also not talking about his current social media feud with Dillon Danis, which is all over X or Twitter, where his fiancée is being senselessly dragged through it without any reason. Now, right now, I'm talking about Pokemon cards. You may remember back in 2021 when Logan Paul actually went through a Pokemon phase. He was cracking packs and going through the hype polls with all of his fans on live shows.
Wild. That's wild.
Very wholesome content at the time. Now, this was the most interested that I've ever personally been in Logan Paul's content. Possibly because of my degenerate gambling tendencies.
Scrape that mother.
And, well, in reality, that's all cracking Pokemon packs are, a new form of gambling, at least a different form. Now, this era of Logan Paul, his Pokemon era, may very well have led to CryptoZoo with hatching and evolving little creatures, but that's absolutely beside the point. This is not another CryptoZoo video. Now, my mediocre interest in both Pokemon and Logan Paul hit a pinnacle when the news dropped of him purchasing a $3.5 million box of Pokemon cards.
Oh, wow.
This is a sealed first edition case of booster boxes, and it was the most expensive Pokemon acquisition of the time. With nothing much else to do, as this was the height of COVID, I actually followed this story quite closely. Now, an extremely important part of this entire tale is the Baseball Card Emporium, or the BBCE. Now, this is a highly accredited authentication service that was used by Logan and others to actually authenticate this sealed first edition case. After all, if you're going to be spending millions of dollars on cardboard, you probably want to make sure that your cardboard is at least legitimate. I mean, I know I would. With the go-ahead and complete authentication completed by the BBCE, Logan went ahead and purchased the case from this man named Matt. Now, Matt actually originally purchased this for $2.7 million himself, which was already an astronomical amount of money. As we know though, when it comes to Logan Paul, everything must be recorded, everything has the potential to be content. So he gathered together Matt alongside a couple of gentlemen from the BBCE and decided to actually open this case for the world to see on camera.
That is 100% real.
Now, this, of course, after yet another authentication in the room with all of these individuals with the BBCE and Steve Hart. Now, Steve Hart is the representative from the Baseball Card Emporium that originally, and yet again right now, is authenticating this as a legitimate sealed first edition case of Pokemon. Steve, however, was not the only authenticator in the room. Logan, as I said, purchased this previously from a man named Matt, who had also previously purchased it from two men. These men, their names are Jamil and Jacob. Now, to go even further down the ladder, Jamil and Jacob had originally acquired the box from this guy, Justin, who had it authenticated by Michael, and this is Michael, also goes by the name PokeJew. However, as we all know by now, something went horribly wrong in the case opening. When they did in fact crack the case, they found nothing but G.I. Joe cards. Definitely not first edition Pokemon.
Oh my God, bro.
G.I. Joe!
Now, between Logan acquiring this case from Matt, Matt acquiring it from Jamil and Jacob, and them acquiring it from the man named Justin, over $5 million had changed hands for this supposed sealed first edition case of Pokemon. Now, on top of all the money, the absolute and utmost reputation of Steve Hart from the BBCE was now in front of millions of viewers from Logan Paul's channel. The entire community that had been following this Pokemon incident and the entire community around Logan Paul were absolutely floored when his scammed video actually dropped. Now, news of Logan Paul being scammed out of millions of dollars absolutely swept the internet, as I'm sure you can understand. Logan Paul is just a little bit of a celebrity figure on social media, and anytime he does anything big, it gets around. Now, of course, with this, sympathy followed suit. Tons of it. There were people making content about it, there were people reaching out, saying how bad they felt, and this is where the story was actually left. It kind of hit a stalemate for a couple of years. This was until a man named Rattle Pokemon released an 18-part series explaining how everyone involved could have faked the entire thing. Let's go back, because when news initially dropped that a $3.5 million case of Pokemon had sold, this individual, Rattle Pokemon, actually found some interesting oddities around the acquisition and began creating some content around it. And in response to this interest, the man that sold the case to Matt initially reached out to Rattle with this quick note. I don't know about you, but that seems extremely suspicious. Well, so did Rattle, and he decided to actually dive deeper. And on that note, Rattle meticulously showed how easy it would be to deem this case of Pokemon as illegitimate to begin with.
Here's what it should look like. Now, this one might be an extreme example. It's very faded, but you can see here that the box itself is in beautiful condition.
Regardless, the case was opened and we know what happened. This, however, was only a segue into Logan's next and even bigger acquisition, a single Pokemon card worth around $4 million. After taking such a big L, however, Logan wasn't about to shell out millions more for this one single card. So what did he do? Well, he started to offer co-ownership of the card through his brand new crypto site named Liquid Marketplace and the Liquid Market. Really quick, Liquid Marketplace is a site that allows users to purchase a fractional share of a physical collectible item. Let's say that I have a Pokemon card worth $100,000. I can then go and place that Pokemon card on the Liquid Market and allow, let's just say, 49,000 people to give me $1 to own a fractional percentage of that physical card. Now, this is a serious undertaking. It's essentially a private stock market for card collectors. This is also where things start to get very, very interesting. Now, in order to run an operation like this, one would need to invest a lot of time and money hiring the right people for the job. And let's take a quick look at who made the cut. First up, we have the strategic director of all of Liquid Marketplace, and that turns out to be Michael, or PokeZoo, the one who initially authenticated the $3.5 million case of Pokemon cards. Yeah, that Michael. And how about, let's say, the director of assets? Well, that would be Matt, also known as Shine, or the guy that actually sold Logan Paul the case of PokeZoo for $3.5 million. Starting to see a trend here. Let's go ahead and just momentarily put aside the fact that all of the people involved in scamming Logan Paul are now hired by Logan Paul to run this new marketplace. Outside of the interesting team that was assembled for this project, I struggle to understand what safeties are in place to keep people from, let's just say, selling shares of a card, and then once they've sold X amount, they remove the card from the marketplace and disappear into anonymity forever. Would you actually go out and buy fractional shares of a physical item without any legal oversight involved? At this moment, there's only a handful of items on the entire marketplace that you can co-own alongside Logan Paul. Seriously though, I have to have a huge shout out, or put out a huge shout out to Rattle Pokemon, who dropped 18 hours of knowledge in his series around this situation. I'll leave a link to his channel down below in the description. Make sure you go show him some love. Also, let me know what you think about this situation in the comments down below.